Welcome to Gray Overload, and this announcement from Framework I'm actually pretty excited about. Been waiting for their update to the Framework 16. I think they needed some refinement on the Framework 16, the original one, and their updates to it seem like they fixed a lot of the questions. Seems like they're still innovating, and I like to see that a lot from especially a startup company. And we're going to go through some of their announcements today on that Framework 16. So if you're interested and want the pre-order, you can do that. And let's jump over here to their site. As you can see, they go through, it's got the latest Ryzen AI 300 series processors. You know, AMD's great naming for that. And you also get the Nvidia GeForce RTX 5070 if you want that. Great little add-on there. I know people wanted a choice of GPUs. They still have the 7700S as well. They've done some improvements to that one too. You can even buy the new fans if you have the old module. You know, a lot of the framework stuff, right, is if they have an improvement, you can also get that improvement if you've already bought it. I like to see that. I like to see the longevity of a platform here. I think that this is going to be a great option for many different users, but especially those that maybe run businesses and have do especially CAD operations or stuff like that, need a powerful laptop for that. These look like that they could be a really cool option for them. In fact, I got somebody in mind, a friend of mine, does some work in that arena and runs an engineering firm. I think that these would be a great option. We've had some problems with Asus laptops, and while I've fixed them and stuff, a lot of this stuff with the repairability, upgradability, really gives them another option. And I'm going to wait for the reviews, but if they are looking pretty good, I think this will be a great option for them to look at in the future for machines. And so as we go through and just talk about this, where are we right here? Let's see. Let's get to the overview, right? They want it to be a desktop replacement. You know, it's close there, and you can swap the GPU out. You can just run it without a GPU if needed. So if you want that APU in there from AMD, you can do that. We'll go through some of those specs here in a second. And you also get 12 core processor from AMD with the HX370. So that's faster than the 7940 by 25%. I think you get some more cores. And also, they have a Geekbench score. Don't care. I'm not a huge proponent of Geekbench. I think that's something we can just leave behind. So you get to customize it, right? They have, as you see here, still have that same numpad. You can get keyboard as well. Different things with the trackpad layout. In fact, you can 3D print stuff for the trackpad layout, which I like that sort of thing. I got a 3D printer. I actually like to get a Persa 3D printer. But really want to get one of those and try those out, but that's a whole nother topic. Let's start going into some of the stuff here with the upgradable graphics. And they finally said we did it. Well, they did it for the first time, right, of having something actually come out with a new product. Let's see. I really want to see this continue. I think they got a really good base here. I think Framework will be able to deliver on it. The 5700 now laptop GPU from Nvidia, I think this makes it a really great option for a lot of people, along with the 7700S. I would have liked to see a 9700 in there as well, but that did not come out. And I'm it would have been really cool to have you have one CPU, right? Granted, AMD and Nvidia had to work together to get this product to work right with everything, and their manufacturer Compal, which they mentioned in their videos. If you go watch their videos, I even watched the Q&A. They did a good job overall on there. I would like to expound some of their questions they were asking. I would like to see it a little bit more. I did not have time to get there during the Q&A. I had something else prior to get done, but another meeting. But it was very interesting on how they kind of approached this whole thing. And if we were to have that 9700 versus the 5070, would have been really cool. Now the 57 only has 8 gigs of RAM. The 9070 would have also only had 8 gigs just because of the limited space on here, just by my thinking, right? Unless you get more dense memory chips, you're not going to get any more memory on this for right now. But you know, it's a 5-minute swap. So just think, if you had 97, you could have swapped them out. You could have really benchmarked the GPUs against each other to see where they are at. And if you're, if you want something 30 to 40% slower, you get that 7700S, where it might be good enough for you. It's also cheaper, so you can go of, hey, it's cheaper and I don't need to spend as much money, or you just not have the GPU, because these processors in here, before we get to some more of it, let's just go over the specs of the processors, right? You have the AI 7350, right? That's going to be their base one to go into. And you have 8 cores, 4 Zen 5 and 4 Zen 5C cores, so they're kind of more, they're compact cores, or however you want to do it. So 16 threads, 5 gigahertz, 3.5 on the Zen 5C, 2 gigahertz base, and I think they got them configured up to 45 watts on these too. So you got a little bit more thermal headroom on this. And let's go to, they have conductivity if you care about that, and NVMe support. But what I really want to get into is the graphics capabilities here. You got an 8 graphics core count on these, so this is the 860M. This may be good enough for you for what you do day to day. That's the nice thing about this, is that if you let's say you need more graphics and you just want to get the laptop first to see, you might be able to then come back and say, you know what, I need the graphics card, let's go buy it at that time, rather than, having it all up front. You also have AI stuff, so 66 tops total, 50 MPU tops if you care about that. But that is the Ryzen 7 350. Then you get to the HX 370. This is a really kind of interesting one, because you have still 4 Zen 5 cores, 8 Zen 5C cores, so you get a total of 12, 24 threads on this, 5.1 gigahertz boost, 3.3 on the Zen 5C cores, 2 base, still at that 45 watt configurable that they have there in this laptop, if I recall correctly. But you get to the 890M in this processor for the GPU, 16 graphical core units on there. So you got double the core counts from that 350. Should really jump up that performance if that's something that you want. This one may be just just what you have. Now, the memory on this right now, they're working to get 64 gigs total. So depending upon how that, and they have dynamic allocation, I think you can get like up to like 2/3 of your total memory there allocated for this. You could have quite a bit of memory there allocated for the GPU. This could be a nice little, hate to go with their name there, but AI machine as well on the go. Also for CAD work and stuff, this may be all you need. You may not need that extra GPU. That's just something you're going to have to determine on how you're working with it to see if that's something that you need to go with. I really actually like what they did here with this processor combination. Really kind of impressed. So you get that option of that bigger GPU. They got the 370 in there, pretty powerful looks like, and I'm pretty impressed. Now they did improve the thermal system, so their fans I think were upgraded, their heat sinks as well. The Honeywell phase change thermal material all used. They have now a 240 watt charger instead of the 180, I believe, last generation. So this should cover, you should never have any downtime. Also, the graphics card allows for power to come in through there as well. So up to 96 gigs of memory currently that you can do. And I think if they get the 64-bit or 64 gig sticks all done, that's 128. You should have a little bit there, and you can, they say 10 terabytes of storage now across 2 SSDs. I'm sure if you buy your own, if you want to spend $1,000, we had a little news topic there. Uh, you could easily see that you had 16 in there, and then you have the additional dual slots there, so you can spend the money to do even more. But pretty cool. So again, this is what I really like. So you have the chassis. You don't really need to upgrade the chassis also. I have the framework 12. My wife has a framework 12. My brother has a framework 12. Got it. A lot of different people going into framework 12s now. They are 12s. Framework 13s. 13. Why am I saying 12? That's their new one up here, laptop 12. Why? I got the 13. Everyone's seen reviews of that. So that's one thing where it's my my mind's blowing, right? The 12 is the new one. The 13 has been really reliable, and just upgrade the insides when you need to, which I think is quite reasonable and quite something that should be used more often rather than just throwing out stuff that still works, right? Unless you bend up. And even you've seen me replace the outer shell of my framework 13 because I dropped it off something. So then the innards were fine, and I still just had to replace the shell, right? So there's a multitude of options here, and you still have that uh, same product, right? And I think that's a great option here. One reason why I really like it. If you care about the size, here you go. It's a little bit bigger with that graphic module, so that is an option for you if you want. And then you get a whole bunch of options with your expansion cards there. And the display, the new display, if you want this, the display now is G-Sync certified, so there's some firmware in there that will not be coming to the first gen display. So if you get the GeForce module, you'll need to do that. Wi-Fi 7 networking in here. They're also going to have a whole bunch of open source stuff. So you have two options, DIY or pre-built, and pretty impressive overall. If you click on these, yeah, they just go through some of the specs here as well, right? We get down, I guess they had everything here too. But the 50 tops processor, so 45 sustained. So these are your three different modes if you want. So thermals there on the graphics as well. This is pretty cool, right? You get a double 3 gigahertz on the 870, 2.9 on the 890. And then here you go for the 57. So you got a lot more AI tops on that 5070. The 7700S does not have that. That's one reason why I like to see the 9070 being here, if that could fit on the same one. Here's a couple more options as well. There. Oh, I guess the second SSD is a 2230, so you can't get 8 terabytes in that yet, I don't think. So 2 terabytes, I think, is you might be able to get 4. I don't know if you can get more. I don't think you can get more than that. So, yep, 16 by 9, 165 refresh rate. Really good overall. My thoughts on this is that, let's switch back here, is that overall, this is a really good option. I like to see that Framework finally came out with this. I was hoping that when they announced the Framework 12 and the new Framework 13 with the AMD side stuff, they were also going to do the Framework 16. That didn't happen, but I think now where you're getting a lot of this performance stuff, you're getting the new AI processor in there, you're getting the new upgraded GPU if you want it, you have upgradability. The Framework did pay attention and say, you know what, we don't want a whole bunch of e-waste. We want to be able to users to upgrade components where they want to and where they need the performance the most, be able to reuse that chassis, minimize how much stuff just gets thrown out. And if there is stuff that users want to upgrade from, instead of just sitting on the shelf, they are still looking at ways to make sure they deliver and give the user some options to continue to reuse those parts in different form factors or different use models as well. So I really like what they're doing overall over there. This is something where I'm going to still sit and wait to see how reliable reviews are, right? We had certain little things come, but they redid some of the structures of the case, and if that proves to be more rigid, more of a device that is, without all these mechanical quirks where, you had little dead zones or squishy zones or stuff like that, I think that this is going to be an option that people will be like, you know what, I could get something else, maybe from an HP, Lenovo, Asus, or whatever else, but this really comes with some repairability and some backing. Whereas if I have a problem, I know my friend, let's say you have a friend that's willing to just swap stuff out for you. This may be a great option, right? I mean, I think anybody can do it. I really think that this is one area where people should really consider these products, and as long as it fits your use case and what you want in a device, should be something you really consider, because you have that longevity and you have something that you can upgrade over time and really use overall. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Framework 16 and how this has been, how this release and announcement is. we'll see products as they come review. I'm sure I'll have another video of my thoughts on the reviews to see how they go, but I'm pretty excited at what they did here. I know I had the configuration up. They're already in batch 2. So they are, for the pre-builts, they're in batch 2. Same with the DIY. It's taking a little longer to load here. I think the DIY is still, DIY says batch 2 as well. Finally loaded, but so they've gone through batch 1 already. Batch 2 is there. If that's something you want to pre-order, you're gonna have to get on it. Otherwise, you're gonna be on the waiting list there. But like I said, the old 7040 is a lot cheaper now. You're about $100 off on there, 7% off. So if you want the older version, you have that option as well. But they got the parts for sale, right? Pre-orders. They do a good job. Their parts are pre-ordered. All that stuff. Looked at it, and I like when they do that, so that you can have the parts ready when they ship, depending upon if you're upgrading one that you already have or if you're buying a new one. So with that, let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you so much for watching and supporting Gray Overload. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon, as it really does help on the channel. Until next time, God bless.